Most boaters think an outboard only fails when it breaks. That's wrong. Some engines fail while they're still running perfectly. No parts, no support, no resale value, just a very expensive problem bolted to your transom. In the last few years, entire engine lineups have quietly turned into orphans, and owners didn't realize it until it was too late. The scary part? Some of these engines look like incredible deals on the used market right now. Today, we're breaking down 4 outboard names you should avoid on the used market, and 4 engines that actually protect your money over time. The difference isn't horsepower or marketing, it's what happens after you buy. Starting with number 4, Volvo Penta Fiv 350. When this engine launched in 2018, it carried a $35,000 price tag and features that seemed almost impossible. Forward-facing controls, joystick docking, 353 horsepower, European engineering that promised refinement the American brands could not match. Dealers were excited. Buyers were intrigued. Volvo was positioning itself as the premium alternative in a market controlled by the same players for decades. But by 2021, just 3 years after launch, Volvo made a stunning announcement. They were pulling out of the North American outboard market entirely. No transition plan, no parts guarantee, no long-term support structure. Owners who had spent $35,000 per engine were suddenly holding assets with no factory backing. The parts pipeline that had seemed robust just months earlier began to collapse almost immediately. One dealer in South Carolina described the situation as a slow-motion disaster. He has 4 of these engines sitting in his service lot right now. He cannot get steering actuators. He cannot source cowling latches. He cannot even order genuine spark plugs through normal channels anymore. The engines are mechanically sound in many cases, but without parts support, they might as well be anchors. A captain in the Florida Keys who paid $33,000 for a pair in 2019 recently received a trade-in quote of $18,000 for both, and even at that price, no one is buying. The problem is not just the lack of parts, it is the uncertainty. Who wants to buy an engine that might need a critical component 6 months from now with no way to source it? What makes this situation particularly painful is that the engines themselves were not necessarily bad. Many owners reported solid performance and refinement that matched the premium price. But in the outboard world, engineering quality means nothing without the infrastructure to support it. When a brand walks away, the engine becomes a liability, no matter how well it runs today. And that is exactly what happened here. But if you think a $35,000 orphan is painful, wait until you see what happens when a manufacturer tries to compete on price alone. Number 3, Force 125. This was Mercury Marine's attempt to capture the budget-conscious offshore market in the 1990s. At the time, Yamaha and Honda were building reputations for reliability, but their engines carried premium price tags many weekend boaters could not afford. Mercury saw an opportunity. They acquired this brand, built on aging Chrysler engineering, and marketed it as affordable offshore power. The promise was 125 horsepower, for roughly half the cost of a comparable Yamaha 2-stroke. But the engineering compromises that made it affordable also made it unreliable. Within the first few years of ownership, patterns began to emerge. Power heads were cracking at 300 hours. Lower units were seizing from internal corrosion that happened faster than competitive models. The electrical systems used cheaper components and less robust weatherproofing. They were rotting in saltwater environments at rates that shocked even experienced mechanics. By the mid-1990s, this brand had earned a reputation no amount of marketing could overcome. Mechanics began calling them boat anchors. Dealers stopped recommending them, and Mercury, recognizing the damage to their reputation, killed the entire line in 1995. What happened next makes this engine particularly dangerous even today. When Mercury discontinued the brand, they also discontinued meaningful parts support within just a few years. By 2000, finding critical components had become nearly impossible through normal dealer channels. Owners were left searching salvage yards, online forums, and obscure parts suppliers just to keep their engines running. And because the engines were already prone to failure, the combination of poor reliability and no parts support created a perfect storm. Today, you can still find these engines listed for sale. They show up at auctions, on Craigslist, in the back corners of used boat lots. The prices are tempting: $600, $800, sometimes less. But even at those prices, they represent a gamble no informed buyer should take. These engines do not run reliably, and when they break, you are on your own. The next mistake is especially dangerous because it looks exactly like one of the most reliable engines ever made. Number 2, Tohatsu MFS 9.9 Nissan rebadge. age. The genuine version of this engine is one of the best portable outboards ever made. It powers dinghies, small fishing boats, and tenders all over the world. Owners routinely report running them for over 1,000 hours, with nothing more than basic maintenance. But between 2008 and 2014, something changed. A different manufacturer sold a version that looked almost identical, but was built with different components. They used a cheaper carburetor design. They used a different fuel pump assembly. They made cost-saving modifications that reduced manufacturing expense, but also reduced long-term reliability. And most importantly, when that manufacturer exited the marine market in 2015, the parts pipeline for these engines disappeared almost overnight. The problem for buyers is that these versions are nearly impossible to identify without decoding the serial number. The cowling looks the same, the displacement is the same. Even many of the external components appear identical, but internally they are different enough that parts are not interchangeable. A mechanic in North Carolina described a situation that happens more often than most people realize. A customer brought in what he thought was the genuine version for carburetor service. When the mechanic pulled the carburetor, he immediately recognized it as the variant. The customer had paid $2,800 from a private seller who either did not know or did not disclose what it actually was. Now the owner has an engine that needs a carburetor that no longer exists in any major parts catalog. He can search for used components. He can try to retrofit a genuine carburetor with modifications. Or he can accept that he bought an engine that may not be repairable. This is not an isolated case. These versions are still circulating in the used market, and sellers are often unaware of what they actually have. The lesson here is that even small, affordable engines can become expensive problems when the brand support disappears. And unlike larger engines where the risk is obvious, these variants fly under the radar. Most buyers assume anything with this block is automatically reliable. That assumption can cost you thousands of dollars. But if you think a 9.9 horsepower gamble is risky, the #1 engine to avoid will make your stomach turn. If you are seeing why brand matters more than horsepower, hit subscribe for Outboard Truth the industry hides. Drop a like if this saved you from a bad decision. Now tell me, have you ever owned an engine with 0 parts support? What brand was it, and how did you escape that nightmare? Number 1. Mercury 512 Verado 600. When this engine was unveiled in 2021, it was supposed to represent the future of outboard technology. 600 horsepower from a naturally aspirated V12, $77,000 per engine. Technology that seemed light years ahead of the competition. Early adopters lined up to be the first on the water with this revolutionary power plant. Center console owners who were used to running triple or quad setups suddenly saw the possibility of running twins and getting the same power with less weight and complexity. But within 2 years, the problems began to surface in ways that shocked the marine industry. Engines were dropping into Guardian mode in the middle of offshore runs. Steering actuators were failing without warning. Control modules were bricking and requiring complete replacements. The manufacturer issued the first recall, then another, then another. The problems were not isolated to a few bad units. They were systemic issues affecting a significant portion of the engines in the field. One well-documented case involved an owner off the Carolina coast who experienced Guardian mode failures 40 miles offshore on 2 separate occasions in the same season. Guardian mode is a safety feature designed to protect the engine by reducing power output when sensors detect a problem. But when it happens in the middle of the ocean, it can leave you drifting in conditions where you need full power to get home safely. After the second incident, the manufacturer made the decision to buy back his entire center console for $180,000. For buyers, this represents the ultimate gamble. When it works, it is one of the most impressive outboards ever built. But when it fails, you are looking at repair bills that can exceed $20,000. Some dealers are quietly advising customers to wait for the next generation or to stick with proven power plants. At $77,000 per engine, you should not have to hope for the best. You should be able to expect reliability. And right now, this engine cannot deliver that consistently. Those are the 4 engines you should avoid. They range from orphaned technology to budget disasters to rebadge traps to expensive gambles that even wealthy owners cannot afford. But the outboard market is not all bad news. There are engines that have proven themselves over years of real-world use. Engines that hold resale value. Let's look at what actually works. Number 4. Mercury 4-stroke 115. electronic fuel injection. This engine does not generate headlines. It does not have the highest horsepower rating in its class. It is not marketed as revolutionary technology, but it has something that matters more than any of those things. It works consistently, reliably, year after year. This power plant has been refined over more than a decade, and it powers everything from bay boats to pontoons to light offshore center consoles. The engineering is mature, the parts network is deep, and the ownership experience is about as drama-free as outboard ownership can be. One Florida dealer who sells multiple brands described this model as having the lowest warranty claim rate in the manufacturer's entire mid-range lineup. That is not marketing language. That is real-world data from a dealer who processes warranty claims every week. The engine starts reliably. It delivers consistent performance across its operating range. And when routine maintenance is needed, parts are available through virtually every dealer in the country. There is no waiting, no back orders, no wondering if the component you need is going to show up. The resale value tells the story that specifications cannot. A well-maintained unit with 800 hours will still command 65% of its original retail price in most markets. That is exceptional for an outboard in that hour range. Buyers trust this engine because they know it has been proven over thousands of installations and millions of cumulative operating hours. Mechanics appreciate working on it because the design is straightforward and parts availability makes their job easier. And owners keep buying them because they deliver exactly what they promise, with no surprises. In a market full of expensive gambles and unproven technology, this represents something increasingly rare. It is an engine you can buy with confidence, run for years, and sell without taking a massive loss. That might not be exciting, but it is exactly what most boaters actually need. The resale numbers do not lie. When engines hold their value this well, it means the used market trusts them implicitly. And trust is the one thing you cannot manufacture with marketing budgets or flashy specifications. You earn it through years of owners who started the engine, ran it hard, and never had a reason to regret their purchase. Now here's something dealers don't advertise, but it might be the most important metric in the industry. Number 3, Honda BF20. Dealers make more profit over the lifetime of this engine than almost any other model they sell. Not because of markup, not because of inflated service costs, but because owners almost never bring them back for anything beyond routine maintenance. This 20 horsepower portable has quietly built one of the most impressive reliability records in the industry. It is the engine dealers recommend when they are spending their own money. It weighs 106 pounds, which makes it light enough to handle without mechanical assistance, but substantial enough to provide serious performance for dinghies, inflatables, and small utility boats. It delivers 20 horsepower through a proven 4-stroke design with fuel efficiency that rivals engines half its size. But the real story is in the longevity. Owners routinely report running these for 1,200 hours or more before needing any service beyond oil changes and lower unit maintenance. You can walk into an automotive dealer in rural Montana and order a fuel pump for this engine. It will arrive faster than a competitive part would reach a dealer in Miami. That infrastructure gives owners a level of confidence that is difficult to find elsewhere. Resale value reflects this reliability. A 5-year-old unit in good condition will still sell for 70% of its original retail price. That is almost unheard of for any outboard, let alone a small portable. Buyers are willing to pay a premium for a used version because they know the engine will deliver years of trouble-free service. And sellers benefit from that demand when it is time to upgrade or move on. This proves that small engines can absolutely belong in a list of models worth buying, but only when they bring real value beyond just being affordable. This engine earns its place not through marketing or hype, but through a decade of owners who started it, ran it, and never looked back. But if you want to see the engine that every competitor measures themselves against, this next one has been the standard for over 15 years. Number 2, Yamaha F150. This is the benchmark that every mid-range outboard is measured against. It has been in production for over 15 years, and each generation has refined the design to the point where it is now one of the most bulletproof 150 class engines ever built. Owners report 2,500 hours or more before major service intervals. Dealers stock parts inventory deep because they know these engines are everywhere. Warranty claims are rare enough that technicians sometimes go weeks without seeing one in for anything beyond routine maintenance. The resale value is where this model truly separates itself from the competition. A 2015 version with 800 hours will still command 80% of the price of a brand new new engine if it is in good condition. That is extraordinary for an outboard with nearly a decade of use. The reason is simple. Buyers trust this engine implicitly. They know that when they purchase a used one, they are getting an engine that will start every time, run reliably for years, and hold its value when they eventually decide to sell. One owner in the Florida Keys documented his experience running one for 2,400 hours over 6 years. He performed oil changes at the recommended intervals. He flushed the engine after every saltwater use. He replaced the water pump impeller at the specified hour marks. Beyond that, the engine required nothing. No major repairs, no unexpected breakdowns, no dealer visits for troubleshooting mysterious issues. At 2,400 hours, he finally brought it in for a valve adjustment and compression check. The mechanic reported that the engine was still within factory specifications and could easily run another 1,000 hours before needing any significant work. The manufacturer's engineering philosophy, which they call Kaizen or continuous improvement, means that every model year incorporates small refinements based on real-world feedback. The version you buy today is not the same engine that launched 15 years ago. It is better in dozens of small ways that add up to measurably improved reliability and performance. The fuel system is more refined, the cooling system is more efficient, the electrical components are more robust. Each improvement builds on the last, creating an engine that gets better with time rather than simply aging. But the number one engine worth buying might shock you because most boaters have never even heard of it. Number 1. Suzuki DF 140A. Most boaters have never heard this statistic, but it changes everything. This engine has a lower warranty claim rate than the benchmark we just discussed. It delivers better fuel economy than the most popular American brand in the same horsepower class. And according to dealers who sell multiple brands, the manufacturer ships parts faster than the competition in most regions. Yet, this brand remains one of the most underestimated in the outboard market. That disconnect between performance and perception is exactly what makes this the top engine worth buying today. It uses lean burn technology that optimizes the fuel-air mixture across the entire operating range. The result is fuel consumption that is 15% better than older designs from competitors. For owners who run their engines frequently, that difference adds up to hundreds of dollars per season in fuel savings. But the real advantage is weight. This engine weighs 388 pounds. A comparable model from the benchmark brand weighs 458 pounds. That 70-pound difference matters significantly on boats where weight distribution affects handling and performance. A dealer in Louisiana who sells multiple brands described this as the engine he recommends. When people ask him what he would buy with his own money, his reasoning is straightforward. The reliability is exceptional. The parts availability is better than most boaters realize. And the ownership experience is consistently positive. He said that owners do not come back with mysterious issues or recurring problems. They come back for oil changes and routine maintenance, and that is it. The dealer network is smaller than the major competitors. But the dealers who carry this brand tend to be deeply committed to it. They stock parts, they train their technicians thoroughly, and they provide service that reflects genuine confidence in the product they are selling. One dealer described receiving parts from the manufacturer faster than he receives parts from the largest American brand, despite that brand having a much larger distribution network. That kind of efficiency matters when your boat is sitting on a trailer waiting for a component to arrive. This engine does not have the name recognition of the benchmark. It does not have the marketing budget of the biggest players, but it has something more valuable. It has a track record of owners who bought the engine, ran it for years, and never regretted the decision. In online forums and at boat ramps, owners talk about their engines with a level of satisfaction that is difficult to fake. They describe reliability that matches or exceeds the premium brands. They describe fuel economy that saves them real money. And they describe a sense of confidence that comes from owning an engine that simply works without drama. For buyers who are willing to look past brand recognition and focus on real-world performance, this represents the best value in the mid-range outboard market today. It is not the loudest engine. It is not the most powerful engine, but it might be the smartest engine you can buy. That is the reality. 4 engines to avoid that can strand you offshore and drain your savings. And 4 engines worth buying that will protect your investment and deliver reliable performance. The difference between these two groups is not just engineering. It is the infrastructure behind the engine, the parts network, the dealer commitment, the track record of owners who came before you. Before you go, I want to hear from you. Which outboard are you running right now? And would you buy it again? Drop it in the comments, because your experience might save someone else a costly mistake. If this breakdown helped you think differently about reliability, resale value, or long-term ownership, hit like so more boaters see it. And if you want more honest, no hype breakdowns like this, subscribe so you don't miss the next one.